Hello, this is Jahara. Welcome to another episode of In the Line of Wire. Today we have on the set AsharZaidi, Country Manager of Intel Corporation here in Pakistan, and we're going to talk to him and find out what Intel is up to and what it has been up to in the last 12 years in Pakistan. Hi Ashar, welcome to the set.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you here.
It's a pleasure.
Intel is also sponsoring the Pasha ICT Awards this year, and it is not for the first time that Intel is a partner in this awards night, which we use to celebrate innovation in the Pakistan ICT sector. And for that, we are very happy to welcome Intel again as part of the ICT Award.
Thank you very much for allowing us to partner with this event. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. You give us money, we spend it, and we celebrate. You know, there's so much innovation in the sector, and we think it's necessary to do this. It's not just because we want to have a party, although people believe that to be so. So, Ashar, tell us a little about Intel's journey in Pakistan in the last 12 years, and then talk specifically, let's talk about the programs that Intel is doing now with government in education. I know there's lots that Intel has been involved in. Yeah. So let's start from 1997 when Intel first started up, and what was the mission, and do you think that that mission has changed over the years?
Okay, as you said, Jana, we started our operations in Pakistan in September of 1997. We started off with a 2-person operation. Okay. Based out of a small suite at the Sheraton Hotel. Okay. And we came into the country with a mandate of trying to help give some sort of shape to the local IT industry, the hardware industry in particular. Right. And we set up a dealer channel in 3 cities, Karachi, Lahore and Islamabad. We appointed 50 dealers. Okay. And now we actually work with about 1,000 partners which are in 50 cities of the country. Okay. These are partners we talk to either through Intel headcount or our extended field forces. Okay. We invite them over for trainings at least twice a year. Okay. And so that's a little bit on the channel side. We also have 3 distributors. Okay. Who have their branches in again Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, and a few of the smaller cities also. The idea is to ensure that whatever technology products are being launched by Intel at the international level, they're available in Pakistan at the same time. Okay. And that our dealer channel is equipped and trained to ensure that they're able to integrate computers based on these latest products that Intel is launching and make them available.
Offer support.
And to offer support and make them available in the country. Okay. So that's a little bit on the channel side. Right. And we've also got an enterprise team. Okay. That calls on enterprise customers, again advising them, working as a trusted advisor to government customers as well as the enterprise customers. Because if somebody is making a technology investment today, then the role of the enterprise team is to go ahead and advise them on how our roadmap is taking shape over the next, say, 6 months or 18 months or 24 months. Right. So that whenever they make a technology investment today, they get the maximum mileage out of it. They're not suddenly faced with a problem that they need to refresh their computer, say, 6 months down the road.
Or even the following day, as I had to. Okay, that's great. I mean, that's important because I think in addition to selling, that advice, that consulting is extremely important.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Now, Intel has also spent a lot of time investing in education. The Intel education program is something that all of us have heard about for some time. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So our Intel invests about $100 million in about 50 countries of the world. Right. 100% of our corporate social responsibility initiatives are in the field of education. We're supporting education in 50 countries, as I said. Now, in Pakistan, we launched the education initiative in 2002. Okay. And we signed an MOU with the Federal Ministry of Education. Okay. This obviously covers the 4 provinces as well as the FATA, FANA and Azad Jammu and Kashmir regions. Right. We started off with the TEACH program. Okay. Now, the idea of the TEACH program is to basically take in-service teachers and pre-service teachers who will be teaching any subject. Right. And equip them to use technology products. Okay. Using a computer, using digital libraries, using an online encyclopedia, using Google or using other internet sources available to them for information to effectively teach their subject matter better. Terrific. So you could be a teacher of science, you could be a teacher of mathematics, but if you're equipped with the training to use technology and technology products to teach your subject matter better, it will add value to the student.
Definitely.
So the idea behind that is students today need not only a solid grounding in subjects such as science, maths, language. What they need is 21st century skills, the ability to use technology to collaborate,
Right.
the ability to use technology to effectively communicate and express themselves.
And to do research, and to,
Absolutely.
because there's so much rich information out there that they don't have to travel for anymore. They can
Absolutely.
access digital libraries, as you said. They can collaborate and probably put together programs with
Absolutely.
kids all around the world.
Yeah. So we started off with the TEACH program, and since 2002 we've trained 210,000 teachers.
Wow.
In the entire country, and this covers Fata and Fana and Azad Jammu and Kashmir also. We added this was for the in-service teachers. We
Right.
added the pre-service element to this recently also.
Okay,
So we've got programs running with universities that are teaching B.Ed and M.Ed programs.
Okay.
And we work with them to integrate the pre-service curriculum into their curriculum.
That's true.
So now our TEACH program is now part of the curriculum that they study. So they're effectively trained on using technology while they're still under training.
Is there any resistance? Because we found that technology is not the easiest thing to convince people to use.
Yeah.
So amongst especially in-service teachers, have you found there's a lot of resistance, and how is that countered?
Actually, across the board, we found a great deal of we found a great deal of enthusiasm and motivation. That's by and large what we feel. Now, the reason is that the ability to use a computer not only enriches the life of the student, eventually it enriches the life of the teacher immediately also.
Of course.
So they're also better trained. They're also better equipped.
Right.
They're also in a position to go ahead and be more effective as teachers. So we found a lot of enthusiasm. Now, if that weren't the case, I think we would have faced pushback, and we probably wouldn't have been able to reach 210,000 teachers. So this is, the organizations participate, the teachers participate wholeheartedly.
Okay.
To
So,
make
but
this
is it
program
voluntary, or is it compulsory on the
It's
part?
not compulsory. It's voluntary.
It's voluntary.
Yeah.
So, okay, then you get the enthusiastic
Absolutely,
teachers.
absolutely.
Okay, terrific. That's good. So, 210,000 teachers so far, and
Since
still
2002,
going strong.
And still going strong.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Actually, teachers will still find that the kids know more than they do in terms of technology, because kids are born with technology now.
They have a less of an inherent fear, as you said.
That's right. Okay. Now, any other programs that
Yes.
Intel is involved in?
So this was the first program under the education initiative. Another one we started off in 2004 was the science fair program, and
Yeah.
under that we work with students in grades 9 and 12. And the idea is to encourage students towards research.
Right.
So the way it works is they choose a topic of their interest in any subject matter, and they do research on it, and we align them with mentors from within the academia or research institutions that are working, and they come up with a research project. We organize a fair at the district level,
Right.
at the provincial level, and then at the federal level.
Right.
And students that get selected from the federal level fair, we sponsored them to participate in the International Science and Engineering Fair in the US.
Okay.
And 2 individual and 1 group project is sent to participate. And the Federal Ministry of Education participates not just in spirit but also in financially for this one. They bear the cost of partial cost of the fairs at the provincial and the national level.
Okay, but is it integrated with technology, the science fair, or is it totally?
This is a completely
Research.
separate program. So they can come up with a research project in pure science.
Okay.
So we've got people who've come up with, say, looking at pesticides from
No,
from
but do
natural
they
products.
then use that research to integrate it with technology to discover what needs to be done?
Okay, so the way they conduct the research, we would encourage them to use technology to come about their results.
But
That's
it's
how
not
it works.
essential.
No.
Yeah, okay. So we're actually trying to encourage research
Yeah.
in science, and the technology part is optional, although it's encouraged.
But by and large, what happens is that they do end up relying on technology products because, again,
It's
the
the
latest
easiest way.
information,
Yeah, it's the
absolutely,
easiest way to do it.
and the latest information is available almost free of cost at times online.
So how many years has this program been going?
We started it off in 2004. We had the first participants in 2005. We've been having winners since 2006, actually.
Okay.
So the best part is it's a cumulative effect. So the students participating not only get exposure at the Pakistan level and in the US level, the winners. What started happening is that the government of Pakistan also gets invitations to participate in international student fairs.
Okay.
And what they've started doing is that they started selecting the winners to showcase their projects at international levels in other countries also.
That's great.
So there's a fair in Korea that happens every year, and the winners of the National Science Olympiad get sent to Korea. The individual projects, they get sent to participate in the Korea Fair every year. So that's additional exposure.
Yeah, of course. And they learn because other kids will be there with their projects, and sort of the interaction always helps.
Absolutely.
Do we have anything like this in terms of a technology fair, or is this just a science fair?
This is supposed to be a science fair.
So maybe we can start one element of the Pasha ICT Awards.
Yeah.
There is an element where we try and encourage kids from universities to participate.
Okay.
But there is also one part where we would like to encourage secondary and primary students to start participating as well.
Okay.
So then perhaps maybe we can start with this year and see if we can pick up kids from your program.
Yeah.
And start encouraging people to develop technology products, very simple technology products.
That's actually a great idea, Jana.
Yeah, because I think we need to get kids to start thinking about this well before they get into university.
I think it will get integrated automatically, because if the students are interested in technology and would like to do a research project in the area of technology,
yeah,
we could always rely on Pasha to identify the mentors.
Right. No, and there are plenty of mentors who would be excited to work with them.
Absolutely.
And I think that's how human resource will be developed.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
We wait too late until they're at university. They've already decided, okay, technology is the area we've chosen, but the rest of the kids get left out.
That's
so
great.
Maybe that's something that we can do. But the science project is terrific. I think that we should try and talk about it a lot more. I know Intel does, but the rest of us should talk about it a lot more and get involved, because there's no reason technologists or entrepreneurs should be involved in the science part of things. So, okay, Ashar, apart from the science program, now you've got the World Ahead program.
Yeah.
So, could you tell us a little about that?
Sure. So, the World Ahead program has a mandate to bring technology to the next 1 billion people worldwide.
Okay.
And we started the World Ahead program in Pakistan in 2005. And there are a few pillars under it.
Okay.
So, there's the pillar of accessibility, connectivity, content, and digital health. And I'll cover all 4 of them. Now, under accessibility, in Pakistan, we've got a sizable percentage of the population that hasn't been exposed to technology. They don't know what it can do for them.
Right.
And under that, we work with, again, it's a partnership-based program. The idea is to work as a catalyst to bring various partners to the table to promote accessibility to computers within the country. And these partners could involve our OEM partners, our local channel partners, independent financial institutions. Basically, the mandate is to try to bring technology.
Also NGOs, I would think, who are working with people who don't have access.
Absolutely. So the idea is basically to go ahead and bring technology access to the next 1 billion people.
Right.
Then you've got the connectivity element, because today a computer without a meaningful internet connection is effectively a black box.
Yes.
So both industries have been
colliding. It's like a typewriter then.
Absolutely. They've collided. And to get a meaningful computing experience, you need to have a meaningful internet experience along with it.
Correct.
So we partner with independent telcos, and we run several programs to try to promote connectivity and broadband within the country also.
Okay.
Content is another area where again we can partner with Pasha, because there are a number of content organizations which are associated or affiliated with Pasha.
Right.
And the idea is to generate local content, or content that is relevant to the Pakistani masses, because again, if there is no content available, why would a person be motivated to get onto the internet?
That's right. I mean, yes, international content is important, but localized content is much more meaningful.
Absolutely.
And also, don't you think we can encourage people to develop content? Because there are a lot of people who are not in the technology industry that have a lot of very meaningful content that the rest of us could benefit from. So even within the rural sector, for instance, farmers know a lot about how they can develop crops, and they're the domain experts. Exactly.
Absolutely.
So the rest of us can learn from that and maybe partner with them to make their job a lot easier.
You're absolutely, I couldn't have said it better. The idea is to basically develop content which is relevant to a certain population, or a certain percentage of the population, as you mentioned, farmers, or maybe looking for maybe in another industry where people may not be as aware of what technology can do for them, but they're the domain experts.
Many industries.
Absolutely.
And also our industries, whether it is the sports goods industry or whether it's the surgical instruments industry.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're all selling their products, but their outreach could be much larger if they were using technology.
Absolutely. So there is a huge opportunity available in local content that we could support under the World Ahead program.
What about, I know that you're involved also with the government in a program where you're providing working on telecenters. Is that right?
This is a program in partnership with the Pakistan Telecom Authority, with the PTA, and the USF. Now, again, it's the idea is to go ahead and promote accessibility in areas. And the PTA is setting up telecenters. The USF is coming on board with connectivity solutions, and Nadra Technologies is coming out with their e-Sahulat application.
Right.
The idea is to ensure the sustainability of the telecenter being set up in a rural area.
Right, right.
So if somebody understands the value of setting up a telecenter, we're just bringing partners to the table and solutions to the table that will allow for a revenue model for the telecenter owner. So to ensure that the telecenter continues to remain a viable solution or a viable investment for the person setting it up over the next couple of years.
Yeah, because I mean that is the easiest way, I think, to get more people involved in using technology.
The idea is once the telecenter is set up, Janda, it can serve a number of potential customers. So if there is content which is relevant to the farmers, then they would want to go and send maybe their children to understand what the latest prices for, say, whatever it is that they're growing when they sell it onto the market. Right. Or maybe if there is any advancement in the field of agriculture, what are the new pesticides?
Or handicrafts that they need to sell outside of their particular areas.
Absolutely. The idea is basically at the end of the day to allow that telecenter to become a hub of sorts for technology and technology awareness, including adult literacy. There are a number of possibilities with that. Correct.
And also, do you think it would encourage entrepreneurship within the towns and villages, and kids won't have to then come to the cities in order to start businesses?
Absolutely. If they have, again, people would migrate to the city for a few reasons: education opportunities as well as healthcare opportunities. If you have the education opportunities or awareness opportunities available in the rural cities, again, there's unemployment is another thing that this country is grappling with. So if a telecenter becomes a viable way of earning a livelihood, then yes, people would move towards it.
And the telecenter could also then, other than the computers and the printers and the scanners, the traditional things that you would have in a telecenter, what about cameras and video cameras and still cameras, so that they can develop content?
There's also the possibility
problems and solutions that they can come up with within their community.
Absolutely. Also the concept of communication. If, say, I'm sure somebody within the family would have a relative abroad or a relative in a city, so communication could be another element to it also. Absolutely.
Terrific. Now, can we talk a little bit about the technology, the hardware technology sector within Pakistan, and how do you feel it has grown, and what do you think we need to do further to enhance and encourage the growth of the hardware sector? Because I mean, Pasha is not serving the needs, so to speak, of the hardware industry, but it is all interconnected.
It is.
And we would like to see a lot more happening in that sector. I know it's grown, and there are some local companies now, local brands that are using Intel boards and Intel technologies and selling local products. What more do you think? I mean, first of all, what has the success been, and what more do you think we should be doing? Okay,
so 2009 is where we're at, and we started operations about 12 years back in Pakistan. Right. So let me tell you a little bit of how the technology or the hardware industry was in 1997 when we started operations. There was no concept of a local brand.
Right.
Technology products were effectively hand carried into the country, mostly. And the Pakistani consumer, be it in the consumer space or the enterprise space, was effectively going to end up buying whatever was available. And Intel came into the market, into the country, with a mandate to try to help develop the local industry, so to speak. And we worked with the technologically strong partners in helping build local brands.
Right.
And there are a number of local brands in the hardware space that exist today. There are a number of things that are required for the hardware industry to flourish even further. It's come a long way. It's come a long way in the last 12 years.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of things that need to happen. I think there needs to be a recognition of the local industry, local brands again, at all levels. And the reason is that these are companies that are investing within their businesses. These are entrepreneurs. They're investing in their businesses.
Of course.
They're paying taxes. They're providing local jobs.
Yes.
They're not just inventing.
And local support.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So encouragement and acceptance of these brands, local brands, is an absolutely essential part.
Yes.
At all levels,
Agreed.
From the government to the private sector to the consumers. I think what started happening again in 2002 was also, or 2000 in fact, if I remember correctly, was the import of second-hand computers into the country. I think that while there are two sides to this, and I think
some people would argue that this made computers more easily available to those who couldn't afford it.
Correct. So there is the pricing element to it. But if you look at the latest products available, they're fairly affordable. And there are people on both sides of the or issues on both sides of the coin on this one.
Yeah.
And the con, in my opinion, is that I think this is holding the local industry back, because the issue is that the second-hand computers being brought in are directly competing with the people that are making the local investments, or the local brands, or the local system integrators.
Right.
And what's happening is that if they're competing directly, these companies will slowly and steadily no longer have the margins available to stay within business, and they'll start moving out. And that is where we will have a problem, because these are the people driving the industry forward, the local hardware industry forward. So I think we need to reassess the need for bringing in second-hand computers into the country, especially when new computers are at a price where it's extremely affordable. So the new Atom platform that Intel designed for first-time consumers, you can base a net-top or a desktop-looking device for about 13,000 rupees. That's a very affordable price.
Yeah, that's an affordable price. And you have a new computer,
and
which can run most of the recently developed software.
Absolutely, and you've got a 3-year support structure for it. You've got 3 years warranty on Intel components on that.
Terrific.
So your investment, you may be making slightly larger investment today, but your investment is again safe for 3 years as a consumer. So that's, I think, the import of second-hand computers needs to be reevaluated. Okay. That, I think, is holding the hardware industry back.
Okay.
I think the second thing is we imposed a general sales tax on technology components a few years back, 2006.
Which all of us have been fighting.
I think that is because the number of people in Pakistan that have access to computers is fairly limited. Again, there are no documented numbers available. Our estimate is about 3.4% of the population has access to computers today. And a general sales tax makes computers more expensive, thereby probably putting them out of the reach of a few segment of the Pakistani population.
Actually, it makes it expensive for most people. So if a university or a school wants to increase the size of their computer lab or put in a new lab, it's more expensive to do it. If a small business wants to start automating their processes, it's expensive to do it. A software company wanting to increase or scale up, it makes it impossible for them to, not impossible, but possibly it's not as profitable for them to do it, and so they might decide not to.
Absolutely.
And so you don't create as many jobs. So it doesn't work for anyone, and even government services. I mean, government organizations are being automated, and they need computers. So this GST, I hope government also pays GST if the rest of us are doing it. They do. So then it becomes more expensive for them to do it. So how does it make sense for anyone?
I think the IT industry is at a growth stage. And there are a couple of things which need to be relooked at. GST is obviously one of them. I think the second-hand import issue is another one. And the recognition and support for these local brands is absolutely essential. I'd like to share a few examples. So if you look at Acer today, Acer actually was a local brand out of Taiwan. Mm-hmm. And they with the support that they received, they've grown out to be one of the largest global brands. Global brands. Yeah. And then we've got Legend, which was a local brand out of China, which eventually turned out to become Lenovo and buy out IBM's PC business.
Right.
So there's another up-and-coming one called FPT out of Vietnam.
Okay.
And they get a large percentage of the government contracts because the government is supporting local integration. The reason behind that, I believe, Jahara, is that these are companies which are doing a number of things. Unemployment is a serious concern for the country, and these are companies which are providing local employment, paying local taxes. Yeah. So putting these three things in front and center, I think, and addressing the issues will take the IT hardware industry forward.
Okay. What about manufacturing itself? Manufacturing hardware in Pakistan, that hasn't begun to happen. These are just companies that are assembling, right?
These are assemblers.
Yeah, these are assemblers. Do you think that's going to happen, manufacturing in Pakistan? Because it's a big market. We could be manufacturing not just PCs, but maybe parts of PCs, like the hard disk, or maybe the printers, or any other, or telephones, mobile phones. If we want to make them really cheap and affordable for people in this country, it's only going to happen if there are large volumes and local manufacturing happening. Yeah. Do you think anybody's going to invest in that, or do you think they don't see a market for it?
It goes back to the total available market and economies of scale discussion. So if there are a couple of factors which are holding the growth back, today if arguably our market is worth about 1 million units, half of which is serviced by the second-hand sector. So you're suddenly limiting the total available market to people who are doing innovation or companies that are doing innovation to only 50%. And if you address the import of the second-hand need, then you suddenly open up a new market available. That's an opportunity for people to come in and realize that the market is much larger. And possibly, there are obviously other considerations also. There are considerations for if
there enough labor available?
Is there trained labor available? Is there enough electricity available? And things like that.
Yeah.
But again, the potential to reach economies of scale and the size of the total available market is an important part of the discussion.
Okay.
And I believe the sole issue of importing second-hand computers into the country is limiting the total available market, making it less lucrative for people to come in with investment.
Okay. Yeah, that makes good sense. Now tell me, energy being a problem for this country, is Intel working in the area of green computing to make sure that any equipment that comes in is using the least amount of the power that we don't have?
Absolutely.
So tell us a little about what is in the area of...
Thank you very much for the question. I really enjoy talking about this one. So at the corporate level, Intel has done a couple of things. We're the number one procurer of renewable energy in the US. What we started doing was we started removing environmentally harmful components, elements from our components. Okay. And we started this a year or two back.
Right.
And we started by removing lead, and then we ended up removing halogen also. So yes, at the manufacturing stage, we've removed environmentally harmful substances from our components.
That's true.
In addition to that, we ensure that our manufacturing facilities do not waste the precious resources. Okay. So water is something that is used in our fabs in great quantities. It's a part of the manufacturing process, and we ensure that the water is recycled. It's cleaned, it's purified, and it's recycled in the manufacturing process. Okay. In addition to that, our components continue to drive, the processors that Intel designs and manufactures continue to drive performance higher, and they continue to reduce the energy consumption. Okay. The Atom product that we've actually came out with, which is designed for first-time computer users, only uses 5 watts of power.
Okay.
The processor itself uses 5 watts of power. So that's a remarkable change from the Pentium 4, which was using, say, 80 watts of power.
Right.
So yes, Intel is working in several areas, ranging from its own manufacturing process to buying renewable energy to ensuring that our components do not have substances that are hurting the environment.
Okay. Now there was also an Intel product specially designed for rural areas. I remember there was a laptop that has been...
Classmate.
Yeah.
So the Classmate...
How is that doing?
It's doing fairly well. The Classmate product is being designed for not the rural areas, but for students.
For students.
It's a ruggedized laptop-looking device. It's powered by the Intel Atom processor.
And that's why it could also work in the rural areas, couldn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. The children are more demanding physically of their devices than our adults.
They throw it around.
They can throw it around. They can drop it. So it's a ruggedized laptop-looking device, specifically targeted towards students. But again, it's open for people who want to buy it for their children, say, to use in their homes also. It's doing well. We've enabled one of our partners to bring it into the country and supply it. In fact, we've been donating computers to government schools and colleges since 2007, and we have a plan to donate 4,000 computers, and we've done about 2,500 already. Okay. And we recently inaugurated a Classmate PC lab, which was donated to a government institution in Nazimabad.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's doing well.
And what is the price of that? And I mean, what is the configuration? Are kids able to use it for practically anything? I mean, certainly it will be internet enabled, I would think.
It has a wireless component. It's powered by the Atom processor. It has a few options in it. You can buy it with flash memory. You can buy it with a hard drive. Okay. There are also 2 models. You can buy it in the regular clamshell model, or there's a Hawk Peak model, in which you can swivel the screen around and use it as a tablet. So there are a few options available.
Good.
Yeah, there are a few options available depending on what.
And is the pricing affordable?
The pricing is affordable. You can get it for about 30,000 rupees depending on which model you're getting.
Okay, that's still high. We need to bring that down.
It's okay. So the idea is Intel using the Atom product enabled two new market segments. One was the netop, the other was the netbook.
Right.
The classmate is of the netbook usage model, and it's aimed at people who want to not only get their entry level users. They would not only want to get a computing experience, but they would also like a little bit of mobility with it.
Yes.
They want to be able to carry their data and be able to connect from anywhere.
Right.
The first time users that don't necessarily want mobility, we've got the nettop. We enabled nettops for them, which are also powered by the Atom product.
Okay.
But they're a lot cheaper, as I said, for about 13,000 rupees.
Okay. All right.
So affordability is addressed there also.
But then they lack mobility.
They lack mobility.
Okay. So maybe we'll come to a stage one day when the two can be combined and made much
Again,
cheaper.
as economies of scale are reached in
Yeah.
this also, you'll see the prices of technology components have come down over the last several years also. If you've been tracking that,
It'll continue to happen.
It will continue to happen.
How do you think, I mean, this is a big market.
Absolutely.
It's not a big market perhaps for Intel yet because of the number of internet users, number of computer users in this country, but it's growing.
Yeah.
How do you think we can encourage that growth? Because we have statistics which say we have 18 to 20 million internet users right
Yeah.
now. So that means one computer is being used by any number of people
Yeah.
naturally.
Yeah.
But what is the PC population right now, and how can we increase that? Now with laptops, you would think that that would be easier to do.
Okay, so the internet population is about 17.5 billion. The Internet Stats
Yeah,
website
yeah,
quotes it at about 17.5 million. And the number of internet users, the number of broadband users is roughly about 400,000. 350 to 400,000 is what.
And that the government is working at increasing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of things. I think as broadband continues or internet access continues to expand across the country, the number of people who want to buy a computer because they'll have a meaningful experience with it
Will increase, yeah.
is obviously going to go up. And the two industries are now, they've collided to a point where they're now hand in hand.
Right.
So would you buy a computer today without the possibility of an internet experience? Probably
Not
not.
at all.
Probably
Not at
not.
all, yeah.
And what would be the point of getting an internet connection if you wouldn't have access to a computer again?
Right.
None. I think it's not any one industry that needs to be looked at. I think it's a success of both these industries. I've spoken about the hardware industry. So addressing GST, curtailing the import of second-hand computers and supporting local integration through local partners. That's that part. Now,
And then content creation and content
assisting in content development, content creation. I know the internet rates have come down significantly over the last 10 years.
But they need to come down further.
If they come down further, you'll automatically see people becoming more and more interested in going from, say, an internet connection to a broadband connection, or to get their first internet connection also.
Right.
So I think we need to
Work
look at
on all of
policies,
those areas.
in both those areas.
Okay, terrific. That was great. Okay, so now we have the part of the show where there's a Rabia Gharib question. So Ashar, I will put that to you because
Please.
she's not wearing a mic. Rabia wants to know, you discourage the import of second-hand computers because you think it's holding the hardware industry back. But all of us, and we are really good at this in this country, we bought a computer today and next year or 6 months down the road we see, hey, there's a brand new computer out, we want that one now.
Yeah.
What do we do with the old computer that we have? How do we dispose of it? How do we make sure it's possibly used better by somebody else? What do we do with it? Because there is a second-hand computer now.
There is
On all of us. It's not just computers, it's printers, it's cameras, whatever you
absolutely.
have.
So let me explain first what I meant by the import of second-hand computers. Understand? I explained that there was an economic impact to the country, to the local industry, and
Right.
it doesn't serve the interest of the consumer because it doesn't have warranty. There is an obvious environmental impact also.
Right.
So what's happening is that by importing second-hand computers from the developed countries, we're allowing our country to become an environmental dumping ground for e-waste.
Okay.
There's a clear impact to the environment.
Okay.
Now, if we stop importing computers that have lived their useful life in the developed countries, there will still be second-hand computers that were sold in Pakistan and are now no longer of, say, use to people like you and me. We want to upgrade. I believe they should be put back to use to people who are not using technology today. They can be donated.
Okay.
So that there are people out there who might not have had their first computing experience, and we could donate these computers to them.
Okay.
The point is not about recycling these computers or getting them back into the market and giving them to people who haven't yet bought their first computer. The point is there are clear issues with importing second-hand computers from other markets.
Okay.
There's a clear division between the
Okay.
two. Now, at a macro level, from an e-waste perspective, I think as a country we lack organizations or institutions that can recycle technology. And technology products, because I know about computers and I've seen a few pictures and I've seen a lot of footage. They get recycled in an environment which is unhealthy for people who are doing that recycling process.
Right.
So maybe setting up of an institution where electronic goods or electronic components can be recycled in an environmentally friendly manner, that will go a long way.
No, but one more thing that comes out of this, and I think Rabia intended for us to answer this question as well, is supposing I want to upgrade to a computer, I may not really be able to afford the full price. Are there companies or organizations that are willing to trade in these old computers for a new one, and then maybe sell those to first-time users?
Sure. So our partners ran a program a few years back in which they were willing to buy second-hand computers. They would assess the value, they would go ahead and buy it back, and then trade it in for a better computer. But this is again not being done at a large scale. This is left up to the partner themselves as a business model. And there are a few companies that I've seen do it and do it successfully.
Okay, maybe it'll work on an eBay type model where you can, that's
Trade-in.
working elsewhere.
Absolutely.
Okay, now we've talked about Intel as an organization and your programs, but going back to specific computer science, you're a graduate of FAST, and do you go back to FAST? Have you seen what it has grown to from when it first began? Is there something that you're doing at university level? We haven't spoken about that. That you would like to talk about? Something that you've seen that needs to be done at university that perhaps Intel is helping with, and something else that maybe all of us should be involved in that we're not doing?
Okay. We do not have any education-specific programs that we're running with universities today.
Okay.
Our education initiative, again, is trying to focus on the grassroots level.
On schools and teachers.
Absolutely.
Right.
Schools and teachers, where we believe there is an opportunity to help play a small role in improving the education infrastructure.
Right.
But having said that, that doesn't mean that there is no opportunity to go ahead and work with universities or computer science schools such as FAST ICS. There is. We've received a few requests from a few universities in, say, setting up research or collaborative projects. And these can be done, the question would ideally be addressed to our corporate social responsibility manager, who can look at opportunities in running these research projects. Having said that, there are a number of Pakistanis that work with Intel research facilities all across the world. And they routinely come to me and say, we would like to volunteer our personal time. We're traveling back to Pakistan for say a month or so, and we'd like to volunteer our time. And we'd like to, and if you feel there is an opportunity available for us to come in and speak to computer science students, we'd love it. And the next time I receive such a request, Jahana, I'm going to forward it to you. I'm going to link
Definitely.
to it.
I think we need to excite kids about the possibilities that computer science opens up to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Ashar, for coming in and for talking so openly about everything that Intel is doing. And hopefully we'll have you back again when there are some exciting things that you add to your existing programs.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you.
That was AsharZaidi, Country Manager of Intel Corporation in Pakistan. And it was great to talk to him about the hardware industry and also where Pakistan is at and how we can increase the number of users of technology in Pakistan. If you have an opinion on what he had to say, I'm sure some of you agree, some of you disagree. I'm sure Ashar will be only too happy to take you on and answer any queries that you have. This is Jahara signing off from another episode of In the Limelight.